Thank you guys for tuning in to another exciting episode of Allow Me to Retort. I've got some interesting stories to go over, so let's just jump into them. First, we're going to talk about Lil Wayne facing 10 years in a federal gun charge. Tulsi Gabbard is working with Kelly Loeffler to keep trannies out of women's sports. Trump refuses to leave the White House on the 20th, or does he? And Cuomo bans the Confederate flag in New York like there were ever any in that gay state to begin with. I'm Anthony, and this is Allow Me to Retort. Thank you guys for tuning in to another exciting video today. Don't forget to leave a comment down below, like and subscribe. And don't forget to ring that bell. It's super important. I don't upload videos on a regular schedule. I try to do them every week, but if I miss a day or if I'm behind or something, you won't get notified unless you've rung that bell. So make sure to do it, and don't lie to me and tell you you've rung that bell when you haven't. Okay, one thing I've learned, or I've already known from watching House, is that everybody lies. People are liars. People will lie to you about everything. Your parents are lying to you about Santa Claus. He's not real, and I had a whole video coming up on that eventually. People will lie to your face. I knew this guy. I went to school with him. His name was Sage. That guy would look Jesus in the eyes and lie to them. I mean, I think some of them they don't have any ability to do anything other than lie. But anyway, enough of that rant. Don't lie to me. Hit subscribe, ring the bell, and get your notifications. Let's just jump into the very first story today. Lil Wayne has pled guilty to some federal weapons charges. He faces up to 10 years in prison. He was found in an airport a couple of weeks ago in Miami with a gold-plated gun in his luggage to carry on. Lil Wayne is already a felon, so he's not even allowed to have a gun, period, yet alone have a gun inside of an airport. So this is double felon. I mean, this guy is screwing up all over the place. But the article from the Rolling Stone points out that because of who he is and the amount of money he has and the amount of lawyers he has, he may have very little prison time, if any at all. And I just want to let this remind you guys, as conservatives especially, because Lil Wayne came out and kind of endorsed Trump and said that he liked what was going on, and a lot of people like that. As a matter of fact, I even pointed that out and I was impressed. But this just goes to show how little we can really relate to the rich. And this is for white conservatives and black conservatives. White conservatives realize that if you're not in that 1%, you can't really relate to Trump. He doesn't really have your best interest in mind all the time. At the end of the day, it's all about them and protecting themselves. And black conservatives who may have thought, oh my God, congratulations, Lil Wayne, you can never do some of the things that Lil Wayne is doing, just like white conservatives could never do some of the things that Donald Trump gets away with doing. Somebody like me gets caught in an airplane with a golden gun, I'm going away for a very, very long time. I'll probably do all 10 of those years, or at least most of them, or it'd be very expensive. My life would pretty much be over. Lil Wayne, on the other hand, he's probably going to get maybe an ankle beeper and record a new album, and he gets some more street credit also. So this probably made him a lot more money than this cost him. But anyway, just interesting to see after he has come out and endorsed Trump quickly after he pleads guilty to his gun charge, and he's probably going to get a slap on the wrist because that's what happens to really, really rich people. And in my next story, we're going to talk about Tulsi Gabbard. Tulsi Gabbard has been a favorite Democrat of mine. I don't even know if she truly is a Democrat. I think she may have done kind of what Trump did, run under a ticket that she thought she could win under, because she seems to be a lot more centrist, and a lot of her policies seem to be bipartisan and well put together. She's still on the left there. She's still got some things that I don't agree with, but this one in particular, she introduces a bill that would ban trans women from female sports, trans women and trans girls from female sports, especially when they're going to be federally funded, like school sports that get tax breaks and all these kind of things from the government. This is important, and I've covered this in many different times in other videos. There's one young girl who I think she was in place to get scholarships and all that stuff because she was like always finishing first and second, sometimes third in her track and field sports. And ever since they let trans women in, or trans men, or I don't even know what word you want to call them, but they're guys in dresses. Ever since they let them in, she's been finishing 4th and 5th. It's pushed everybody back. You know, nobody is winning. These trans people are demolishing the competition, and it's completely unfair to let a man compete in women's sports and then just demolish the competition. And this has been going on for years, ever since they introduced something called Title IX. Title IX apparently prohibits discrimination against someone because of their sex, which is defined by that person in any federally funded programs, and that allows men to play in these women's sports as long as the man says, my name's Susie. Now Susie gets to race with all the real women and demolish the competition. And if you don't believe me when I say these people are demolishing the competition, take a look at some of these videos here. This here is supposed to be a woman. She gets to run in women's national, look at that, NCAA, I don't even know what that is. That is supposed to be a female? Yeah, right. That doesn't even look passable for a female. Transgender runners take 1st and 2nd in Connecticut high school girls track championship. That looks like a grown man. That doesn't even look like a high school boy. That looks like a man. That is a transgender female, and they're taking 1st and 2nd. Of course they are. Look at them. Look at the lips. Look at those. Look at the face hair. It's still there. It got a 5 o'clock shadow, and you're telling me you're a woman and you get to run with the girls? It's BS. Take a look at this video from May 7th. This trans male wins the race for the 1 mile race in Eastwood Athletics. Now, look at this thing. They tower over everyone else that their race against won. And they start off the race pretending, look, they're somewhere back here, apparently pacing themselves, you know. But by the end of the race, it's a blowout. Look at this stupendous lead that this man has on all these other women. Look at this. And it does not slow down at all. Look at this huge lead. Now, there were people in the comments who were saying that they're men and they run what this person ran, and they were mediocre all their high school career. They were mediocre in life, that the numbers they were putting down were nothing when they ran against men. But this guy can run what mediocre men were running and become number 1 in the females division. That's absurd. That's insane. And this is why I'm very happy that Tulsi Gabbard, even though apparently some of her colleagues in Congress have already said they're going to slap it down, but I'm glad that she's at least trying. And she's right on par with what Kelly Loeffler has actually been doing. Kelly Loeffler and some other Republicans have also introduced a bill that will be voted on next year that is pretty similar to this. It's almost verbatim the exact same thing, is that they don't want trans men or trans women or whatever you call them. They don't want men competing and participating in female sports and destroying the competition. Can you imagine what it does? So even if you were to do something for the girls and say, hey, look, we know you're an actual girl, so we're going to now give scholarships to 4th and 5th place people and give awards to that. We're going to extend it. But the idea of knowing that no matter what you do, you're going to be beat down by this dude because they just have it biologically, they just have an advantage, okay? They've got these, they're usually taller, they've got the ability to put more muscle on in certain places a lot easier, okay? They usually have more stamina, bigger lungs, bigger feet, longer strides. All of these things, you can't compete when you take all of those things and put them together. So for these girls, these real women, their self-esteem is going to be shot knowing that no matter what you do, you're going to finish in 2nd, 3rd, 4th, 5th, depending on how many trannies they allow in your sport. So it's ridiculous that this kind of thing is going on, and I think it's horrible that there people are naming Tulsi Gabbard's bill and Kelly Loeffler's bill. They're saying that these are anti-trans policies, and I don't know if they are. I don't know what Tulsi and Kelly Loeffler feel about trans people. I mean, I've got a good idea how Kelly feels about them, but I don't know about Tulsi. But what I do know is that this isn't necessarily an anti-trans bill. This bill is pro-women, which is supposed to be a good thing, right? We were supposed to be pro-women. We were supposed to be making strides. Women are supposed to be able to have something themselves and dominate it. Now, even men real men are stepping in, or sorry, not real men, men who have no idea what the world's supposed to be like. Men are stepping into their field and destroying it, taking yet another thing from women, and not enough people are outraged by it. Speaking of outrage, a lot of people have a lot of rage about Donald Trump losing the 2020 election, or having it stole from him, whichever side you depend to fall on. I err on the side of that there was definitely election fraud. How much of it? I'm not sure if it was enough to change the tides, but I do think whatever was there should be exposed and people should be jailed and imprisoned for this. We're talking about people tampering with the system that America is built on. We are supposed to be able to elect our leader and have absolute confidence in who we've elected and that our vote counted in some kind of way. Never more than now has that been challenged. Is that, and it's not just by the idea that Trump brought up, it's that the idea that this is the proof that there was actual fraud. Now, once again, not enough fraud to influence the election, many believe, but it does not matter. You now have half of the nation, almost half of the nation, who is very upset and does not believe in the system that we use to elect the leader of the free world. Regardless, though, Trump has, maybe in private and sometimes in public, alluded to not leaving the White House when it is his time to. But I think this is Trump blowing smoke. If you look at the facts, the president and the first lady have been making arrangements, moving their stuff down to Mar-a-Lago in Florida, which they've been doing for quite some while. They've already enrolled Barron, apparently, in a Florida school down there. So it's quite clear that he is making plans. No matter what he tells you, he's been making plans. They've been doing renovation. The Secret Service has been frequent and increasing their presence down at Mar-a-Lago. You can read up all on it. Trump may be telling you that this is not over, but the fact is he kind of is already checked out. He's already been moving his stuff in, and he's already preparing to fight some legal battles in Mar-a-Lago because they don't even want him to move down there in Florida. There are people in the city who are saying that he signed agreements in the past that would say he would not live at the private clubhouse for more than 7 days in a row, or for more than 3 weeks in a row, or something like that. And despite the fact what you may hear about him not wanting to leave the White House, it seems like his wife, the first lady, his kids, they're all getting ready and suiting up to move back down to Florida. So just don't be fooled. Just know exactly what's going on. And I'm not saying that this is all over. I still think it doesn't matter if Biden won fair and square or not. I don't believe we can live in this America as a union if Joe Biden is president. I just don't see us being more unified under Joe Biden. I'm willing to listen for about 2 seconds and see where it goes, but I've got my mind up. I think a lot of patriots have already made their mind up as well, and we may see a revolution coming quite soon. Speaking of functioning as a union, Andrew Cuomo, governor of New York, has signed a bill banning the sale and display of Confederate flags in New York State. The entire state of New York is a no rebel flag zone. Now, this to me is kind of a soft display of power. Number one, because I don't think you had much rebel presence there in New York. Correct me if I'm wrong, but New York, Pride City, all that crap, I don't really think you had a bunch of rebel ground stomping Southern patriots in there. I mean, New York is pretty much the capital of the union, so I'm not sure what his goal here is, other than to just further slap in the face people who care about their heritage, people who have what is Southern pride. It's just another chip in their armor, and I think this is the vision that Obama started, and it's interesting to see Andrew Cuomo pushing this further along. I mean, this to me is a dead horse. The Confederate flag, honestly, and I may offend some people by this, but the Confederate flag to me is irrelevant. It really does not matter, except I do frequently use it. I've got it on the front of my car, on the back of my car. I have a big flag that I'll probably be putting back up on the wall in the back of my videos now. But I like it because it, to me, is the rebel flag. It's the symbol of people who rebelled against something, people who were willing to die against something. They were so passionate for something that they went to war about it. And I think we're fairly close to that time again in America. We may see another civil war, whether it's digital or physical or guerrilla style. Who knows what's going to happen in this upcoming years, but I do think the rebel flag is very, very relevant, and I think it's very interesting that Cuomo is making a move to ban it because I think it could potentially rise up again as the symbol of freedom. Ironically, a lot of people say that that was the flag of slavery, but if the American flag is stolen, co-opted by the Democrats, and even though they hate the flag, they hate what it stands for, but if for some reason or another they decide that they're going to take it and make it theirs on the liberal left, then we are going to need a banner to rebel with. We're going to need a banner to stand up and overthrow this corrupt, tyrannical government with, and that may be the very rebel flag that flew years ago. Or who knows, maybe somebody's going to come up with some brilliant design, or maybe we'll be able to keep the American flag. Who knows what's going to happen? To honestly, it doesn't matter to me. A flag is a flag. It's more about what the people is in their hearts rather than what's flying from a flagpole. But I get the idea of being attached to a certain symbol so much, that you love it and that you're willing to die for it and cry over it and all that stuff like that. But what I do not believe is that banning the Confederate flag moves anybody forward. I think is useless. All I think is Cuomo is doing, and all the Democrats that did it way back in South Carolina, and the bans on the internet and the bans in the retail stores, all I think it did was piss off a lot of good people who just want to be left alone. They're not tons of swaths of racists that you just defeated by banning the Confederate flag. All you did was make a lot of good old boys and girls and people who just lived in the country who wanted to be left alone. All you did was alienate them and tell them, hey, you over there, that flag that your pap loves, that flag that you don't know anything about, that you just happen to like because you know it's Southern pride, that flag that you have on your belt buckle or that patch on your shirt, yeah, you're a racist now. Yeah, you hate black people. People don't want to be told that. People don't want to hear that. People aren't interested in being fed your racism, your bullcrap about how evil they are when they've done nothing wrong to anybody. So Andrew Cuomo is only doing exactly what I think started in the Obama era, started down in South Carolina. We've seen it happen in NASCAR now. It's going in all these different ways. It's kind of reaching its tentacles out and slowly trying to get rid of the rebel flag. So that way, I think when people want to rebel and they're looking for a flag, they will have to look for something else other than the rebel flag, because they are banning it in every way. And that, to me, that's why I call it the rebel flag. Also, Confederate flag just sounds like a mouthful, to be honest. To me, they were rebels, and that's what's important about it. And it's why I fly it. It's why I like it. I think it's a cool flag. That's it, point blank. I'm sorry, I don't really care about Southern pride and all that stuff like that. Everybody's got their own reasons. To me, it's a cool flag. I like the design of it, nice and symmetrical. Anyway, point is, Cuomo is making some big energy moves here, as he probably feels, or something that he's virtue signaling to a lot of New Yorkers, is that he's getting rid of racism. He's defeating it by banning the Confederate flag, and I think it's pointless. But that is me. What do you guys think? Do you think it's crazy that Lil Wayne, after just coming out to support Donald Trump, is now facing up to 10 years on federal gun charges? And that, it's kind of dumb that we sometimes align ourselves with people like Trump and Lil Wayne, when in reality, we could never relate to him. Wayne's not going to jail for 10 years. He may not even be going to jail for 5 or even 3. Who knows? He may just have some fines to pay. Tulsi Gabbard working with Kelly Loeffler to keep trannies out of women's sports. It's impressive to me. I think it shows that Tulsi Gabbard was really the champion of that party. She really should have been the winner, and it goes to prove even more to me that Joe Biden stole this. He usurped the power from the people who should have had it, or the Democratic Party somehow propped up this shell of a man to come in and take the power, because there's no way he could have really stood and held his own against a strong woman like Tulsi Gabbard. She could have been our first female president, and I wouldn't have been totally upset with that. There would have been some challenges to go on with that, but I think Tulsi could have easily swung us a little bit more center. I think Obama swung us a little bit to the left. Trump swung us further to the right, and then as a reaction, the left is now swinging as far as possible. And I think Tulsi Gabbard could have slowed that momentum down and kept us a little bit center. What do you think about Trump refusing to leave the White House? Do you know that, like I know, it's all smoke and mirrors? Trump's already planning to leave the White House. And lastly, how do you feel about the banning of the Confederate flag in New York State? Like I said, there probably wasn't many there anyway. To me, this is a big nothing burger, but Cuomo beating on his nipple-pierced chest and saying, oh, look at what I did. I defeated racism. Well, no, you really didn't. You just wasted everybody's time and signed a bill that affected almost nothing. But anyway, those are my stories today. Let me know down below. Don't forget, leave, comment, like, and subscribe. And look at this chart. How many of you guys, look at this graph. So many of you watching my videos, but not enough subscribe. Now's the time. You made it to the end of the video. Subscribe. Hit the subscribe button. Ring the bell. Thank you. This is Allow Me to Retort.